This episode of the Yardcast was recorded at Taylor's Nursery in Raleigh, North Carolina. No matter what your landscape project calls for, Taylor's Nursery has the quality plant material and superior customer service you're looking for. Stop by their showroom on New Bern Avenue or visit them online at www.taylorsnursery.com.
The plant we're going to talk about today is called Gold Dust Aucuba, Aucuba japonica Gold Dust. What's really neat about this plant is probably one of the most shade tolerant plants in the landscape, and that's where it's really valuable for its use. And as you can see, the variegation, little gold spots, that's where it gets its name Gold Dust from. It's fairly disease and insect tolerant. It does need to be planted high. It does not like to be wet. So you want to plant the root ball up a little bit, and once it's established, there's very little maintenance. If it's planted in the right spot, there's very little pruning to it. You can prune off tips to even it up. Plants grow anywhere from 5 to 6 foot tall. So when you plant these, you want to make sure that you have enough room. You want to plant these at least on 4 to 5 foot centers, which would be something like that. It can be used like in a shady side of a house. They're going to get 4 foot wide, so you need to make sure that you have enough room. Normally in the garden center or nursery, you buy it in a 3-gallon pot. Sometimes you can find it in 5-gallon pots. It's fairly inexpensive. Again, the real interest in this is the color. In a dark, shady spot, this will really brighten up the area. And it can be used in natural areas. It can even be used on a foundation if it's really shady. The other thing about this plant is there's a green variety, so if you don't like the variegation, you can buy a variety that's just green. And then there's also a dwarf variety that only grows 2 to 4 foot tall. So it has a lot of uses in the landscape if you're using different varieties. There's also a green variety that has a much narrower leaf. So it does have a big red berry on it, but it's not planted for that because it's fairly inconspicuous. Plant is very hardy. This is a great plant, great for shady locations. Probably one of the 2 or 3 most shade tolerant plants in the landscape.